Hello, friends. Today's chapter of the day is Ezekiel chapter 32, and this is another dark one. Just to kind of set the historical context, Ezekiel chapter 32 takes place about a year after Judah has fallen. So Israel fell to Assyria. A century or two later, Judah falls to Babylon. So Israel and Judah are both in captivity. And now Ezekiel is proclaiming the futures of a lot of other nations that have done a lot of evil around the world. So certainly he spent a lot of time warning the people of Jerusalem. That's all come to pass. Now he's talking to Egypt. And Egypt is kind of interesting because Egypt was the country that God warned Jerusalem, or the people of Judah, not to rely on. He said, rely on me, don't rely on Egypt. And guess what? They did try to rely on Egypt, and Babylon ultimately was stronger than Egypt. So as Egypt is receiving this prophecy, or this prophecy is being made about Egypt, Egypt is number 2 on the world stage behind Babylon. So it's not the strongest nation in the world. It's not as strong as it's been in years past, but it's still pretty strong. And what do we hear from it? God's calling out Pharaoh. You consider yourself a lion of the nations. Thus says the Lord my God, I will throw my net over you, and with a host of many people, and they will haul you up in my dragnet. So basically, you think you're strong, and I'm going to make an example out of you. And not just sort of a, I'm going to embarrass you, but verse 4, and will cause the birds of the heaven to settle on you, and will gorge the beasts of the whole earth with you. So you're going to die, and you're going to die completely. And I'm going to wipe you out and make an example out of you. And how bad is it going to be? Verse 9, I will trouble the hearts of many people when I bring your destruction among the nations, into the countries that you have not known. I will make many peoples appalled at you, and the hair of their kings shall bristle with horror because of you. So this is going to be bad. And you're going to be made an example of because of the evil that you committed against the name of the Lord. And how is it going to happen? Verse 11, it's going to happen by Babylon. Babylon is going to destroy Egypt. It's going to conquer Egypt. Then we get the second, as if that wasn't bad enough. We get the second prophecy in verse 17. About 2 weeks later, he gets a second prophecy, and God says to Ezekiel, verse 18, Son of man, wail over the multitude of Egypt, and send them down, her and the daughters of majestic nations, to the world below. We're talking about, you guessed it, hell. Egypt is going down to the pit. It's going to be not only killed, but it's going to go down to the pit. And the purpose of talking about the pit is to say you're going to be completely irrelevant in the pit. All the things that you thought made you so strong and so important, all of that's going to be nothing. Even your beauty's going to be nothing. And what does it say in verse 22? Assyria is there. Verse 24, Elam is there. 26, Meshech Tubal is there. Again, all of this, all of these nations that were once great. 29, Edom is there. Verse 30, the princes of the north are there, and they all bear their shame. It talks about how nobody's going to be beautiful there. No one's going to be powerful there. They're all going to be humbled and ruined, and there forever, where there are no mighty men there. It's just, verse 27, they do not lie with the mighty, for the terror of the mighty men was in the land of the living. So whatever you thought you had, whatever prominence or fear you inspired in other people, it's all gone, because you've been destroyed by the Lord, and that destruction isn't just for a moment. This chapter makes very clear that this destruction in hell is a destruction that you are conscious of forever. And then the sort of comfort at the end of this in verse 31, when Pharaoh sees them, he will be comforted for all of his multitude. The idea being, at least he's going to know he's not the only one who got destroyed by the Lord. It wasn't just reserved for him, but all of the enemies of the Lord. And why? Why is this all happening to these nations that were scary to everybody else? Because in being scary, in trying to dominate the earth that the Lord created, they're trying to put themselves in his seat. And in verse 32, for I spread terror in the land of the living. And he shall be laid to rest among the uncircumcised and those who are slain by the sword. I'm in charge here, says God, and anyone else who acts like it and ignores me is going to pay the price. And that price isn't just going to be temporary discomfort, but eternal. Because if you want to pretend like you're God and ignore me and live in a world without my blessings, I'm going to give you your wish. And it's going to suck. So I hope this helps us to reflect on the holiness of God, the justice of God, and the idea that out of all the wrong things we see in this world, they're all going to be made right. And we can't let people that seem to be prevailing intimidate us or discourage us, because God is going to make it all right. Have a great week.